Since Thanksgiving is all about celebrating the season's bounty, I'm making a vegetarian side dish that I'm hoping everyone will love as much as my family does. This is my roasted squash with greens and halloumi. Now, if you've never had halloumi, it's a delicious cheese, and I'm very excited about it. But first, I've got to start with that squash. So I've got one butternut squash here that I've chopped up into cubes. And actually, that was a lie. I bought it chopped up because I don't like peeling squash, and it makes my hands feel funny. So this is a good hack to have the grocery store do on your behalf, or, you know, your friend. You can always do that as well. Or your husband. Aaron often is the squash chopper in our house. Now, to season this up, I'm gonna add on about 2 teaspoons of grainy Dijon mustard. That's gonna give a little bit of vinegariness and a bit of a pop onto this squash. Now, if you didn't want to use butternut squash, you could do anything. You could even do like sweet potatoes. That would be delish, but we're sticking with butternut. I'm also adding in about 1.5 teaspoons of honey. Now, if you wanted to make this like very Canadian Thanksgiving, you could have done maple syrup. This is looking absolutely beautiful. Also, if you didn't want a squash, you could also do a pumpkin, but I couldn't find any pumpkins anywhere. I just don't know where to look. Don't know where to find them. All right, so on it there, I'm also gonna add some salt and pepper. And then also a little bit of oil. I've already got that oil on there. That's gonna just get that nice and coated and delicious. Give that a bit of a toss up. And then I wanna bake this off in a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes just to get that started cooking. Once that starts cooking, it's gonna get a little caramelized. That honey's gonna get nice and cooked down. It's gonna be delish. All right, that squash is gonna roast off and look beautiful and delicious and just get a little bit tender, but it's not gonna be done after that initial cook. I wanna add something on that's gonna bring even more deliciousness onto these veg, and that is a whole bunch of kale. I love kale. It's delicious. It's a good hearty green. It cooks down beautifully, but it also kind of turns into kale chips when you roast it. So it's kind of like you're putting chips on your Thanksgiving table, which is always a good thing. But to season that up, I'm gonna add in 3 cloves of thinly sliced garlic. Now, I'm thinly slicing my garlic because I really like that it stays. You can kind of see those little chunks. It gives you nice, sweet, delicious garlic flavor as it roasts. Sometimes I find if I'm roasting something, if I mince garlic up, it can tend to burn. I don't want burnt garlic on my Thanksgiving table. I want delicious sweet garlic. So just dice that up, nice and fine. And these are the world's biggest garlic cloves. I don't know what's happening with garlic lately, but it's all like the size of a softball. I love it, but you know, do as much or as little garlic as you like. Perfect. Now I'm gonna add those on into this kale. And anytime you're working with kale, you don't have to be delicate with it. It's not like spinach or anything like that, because I wanna get in there and get all those flavors on. Now to add even more flavor onto this kale, I'm gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of some cumin. Just sprinkle that over top. Cumin brings like a really nice kind of smoky, kind of meaty lemoniness onto anything it touches, and it's beautiful and delicious. And I'm also gonna add about 1/2 teaspoon of ground coriander. Now, ground coriander is the seeds of cilantro, but it doesn't taste like cilantro. So if you're like a soapy cilantro person, you might still like coriander. If you don't though, you can swap this out with any sort of spice you've got hanging around. Cayenne pepper would be delicious. I'm gonna add on about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, which is delicious. A little bit of salt on there too. And it's Thanksgiving, so I like to season things very nicely. And I'm gonna give that a good toss together. That is looking beautiful. Basically, you just wanna coat everything in that oil mixture. It feels like you're making a salad, but you're about to cook your salad, which sounds horrible, but it's actually delicious. All right, now I'm gonna bring this back, and I've got some of that squash already roasting, and I'm gonna add that onto the pan. That's gonna just cook down beautifully. I'm just gonna lay this all over top, and it's gonna look like way too much kale. You're gonna be like, Mary, this is too much. Like way too much. But it cooks down, the underneath gets nice and kind of crispy. The top gets a little like delicious and wonderful. All right, pop that back on in. And I'm gonna let that go for another about 10 to 15 minutes. While that starts doing its thing, I'm gonna make some delicious cheese. So I've got some halloumi over here. And halloumi's a really cool cheese because you can actually cook it. You wanna get it golden brown. It is kind of like rubbery and fresh and delicious, but I'm gonna thinly slice these babies. And halloumi's neat. In our house, we call it pants cheese because it kind of looks like a little pair of pants, if you see. And as you cook it, it kind of opens up even more. Now I've just got that nice and sliced. And it is delicious. It's so salty and squeaky. It's kind of like a cookable cheese curd, which is an excellent thing on your Thanksgiving table. All you need to do is put a little bit of oil into a pan. You can also grill this on the barbecue. Pop that cheese in and let that sear for about 1 to 2 minutes per side until golden brown and delish. So I'm gonna let this cheese get to cooking. Sounds already delicious. Today, I am making a savory vegetarian side dish that I hope you'll try this Thanksgiving. It's my roasted squash with greens and halloumi, which looks so beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. Halloumi's like the only cheese, really, you can do this with. Get that golden brown color. Well, that's kind of a lie. You could also do it with paneer. And if you can only find paneer, that'd be delicious in this recipe, too. That's what cooking for people's all about. On the fly, keeping it fresh. All right, that halloumi's looking beautiful, and this squash and these greens are smelling amazing. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. That kale cooks down absolutely beautiful. It's nice and soft on the bottom, but like little crispy crunchy on the top. That looks amazing. So now to put this whole dish together, I don't know about you, but I love a sauce. I love a cranberry sauce, and I also love sauce on pretty much everything. So I needed to make something nice and creamy and delicious to go with these veg. So I want about ½ a cup of Greek yogurt. You can use any sort of yogurt, just make sure it's plain, not vanilla or raspberry. That would not be good. And I'm just gonna add that on into a little bowl. Greek yogurt's great though, because it's really nice and thick. It's almost like sour cream, but you know, a little bit better for you. All right, into there I'm gonna add in the zest and juice of ½ of a lemon. I love a lemon zest. It's super nice. It basically tastes like how you think lemon should taste without the acidity. If you're not using that lemon zest, you're doing something wrong in the kitchen. And I don't usually say that, but zest is amazing. As soon as you do it, it gets so nice and bright and delish. I'm gonna add in the juice of ½ of that lemon as well. Squeeze that in, don't let those pips in. If you have paper cuts, don't do this, but I'm good. All right. And now I also want to add in a garlic clove. So I'm just going to mince that right on top using my rasp. I've got that sliced roasted garlic in those veg, and this little bit of rasped garlic in here is just going to kind of lightly pickle in that lemon juice and that slightly acidic yogurt. So it's not going to be like crazy raw garlic, but it's Thanksgiving. I'm assuming you know most people at your table pretty well. So garlic breath is allowed, at least in my house it is. All right, add that in, give that a stir. Season that up with a little bit of salt. And that looks amazing. Honestly, I throw this sauce out with chips sometimes when friends come over, and they're all like, where did you get that? I made it. Always a good thing. If you wanted to throw some of this out on your appetizer table, then put it under your veg, no one will know. All right, now to plate this up, I like getting this sauce and just transferring it onto a platter. Anytime I try to drizzle something like this, it doesn't look cute, so I usually just do a nice spread onto the platter. Then every scoop gets some of that sauce. Now I'm just gonna transfer over some of those delicious vegetables. That roasted squash, that kale, like looking absolutely beautiful. Like, can you imagine this next to your turkey? You're getting all your greens in, and if you get all these greens in, you're allowed a second slice of pie, which is always good. And then you cannot forget about that cheese, those little pants of cheese. Pop those on. Really nice and cheesy and golden brown. Now on top of there, you can add a little bit of lemon on the side if you like it extra bright. That would be delicious. But I like a little bit of heat just to keep things fresh. So I've got a little bit of some sliced chilies or peppers here. Scatter those on top for a bit of brightness. And then a little bit of just some torn up parsley. Now this to me, honestly, it looks like a pile of deliciousness. For me, this would be my main dish, but yeah, side dishes should get more focus. Turkey's great, but I love a side. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.